Proposition 8, community enhancements, $9 million. What is the League of Women Voters? We're a 151-year-old nonpartisan, nonprofit organization. We advocate for issues, but not for candidates or politicians. What is this tax? This tax would start April 1st, 2022. What's on the ballot? 14 propositions have been proposed in 4 broad categories. Each must receive a majority of votes to be approved. Who is presenting? Dr. Mark Rennie from the Cheyenne City Council and Gunnar Malm from the Laramie County Commission. Welcome. I am Rosalind Shalisky, Secretary of the Cheyenne League of Women Voters. Assisting in our Zoom is our Zoom master, Dr. Karen Meister Emmerich, who's the Vice President of the Cheyenne League. And along with our members, we thank you for your interest in the election for Laramie County 1% specific purpose sales and use tax, also known as a 6-penny tax. Gunnar, you're going to start us off, and you're going to, there's all kinds of things here of community enhancement. I can't characterize it in one thing, so I'll let you take it away.
Great. Yeah, so again, this is under the Community Enhancements tab. Trying to be transparent, let people know if they would like public safety, infrastructure, community enhancements. They are able to choose from those accordingly. But under this category, we have some exciting projects that I think are not only reactive to the needs of our community, but a couple of them are very proactive in looking ahead and what's going to be the needs for not only our community, but our nation going forward. So the first one is $200,000 for playground equipment at Clear Creek Park. That's Laramie County's only park, located west of town, with a little yellow caboose. We currently have a bike rodeo playground out there that's actually gets quite a bit of use. In fact, former Commissioner Ash's husband, Dale Meyer, used his daughter's bike to break it in, and there's pretty funny video actually of that. But it's a well-used amenity, and it's a cool little spot. So this will just be to add some additional enhancements and playground equipment out there, and it's exciting. The next one's for $1.5 million to the county for some additional storage at Archer. And you're probably saying, you just built a 100,000 square foot event center. How do you need storage? Well, when you rent out all 100,000 square feet of event space, you have nowhere for the equipment that's needed for the other 25 events you do throughout the year, including fair, which has a substantial amount of infrastructure needed, like all of the panels to hold animals. So this will be money to build a small storage facility for equipment like draperies, tables, chairs, the pins for fair, as well as moving the current stables that we utilize for horse boarding when people are coming through town to a more accessible part of Archer that's a little closer and not as tucked away and behind the event center. So it's just some shuffling of resources out there and some additional storage capacity that were needed so we can fully utilize the voter approved Archer Center that was constructed after the last 6-penny. Number 3 is the one that I'm referring to when I say we have an opportunity to be proactive with this ballot. We decided to partner with LCCC. They're looking at incorporating a manufacturing program at the college and building a manufacturing center. If you look ahead at the next 10 years, it's estimated that the United States will be 4 million workers short for manufacturing capacity. And so we will need 4 million people working for in manufacturing jobs. And so if we can be proactive and train those people in Laramie County, we can hopefully keep them working in Laramie County as manufacturing facilities decide to move here, given the great work of our economic development partners like the Chamber and Leeds. And so it's just one of those cases where we see the need for a qualified workforce in our community. We see an opportunity in that the sector is growing, and we see the availability of funding through voter approved 6-penny dollars that they have a chance to invest in our community long-term and really help us plan out what the next 10 to 15 years will look like if not longer in Laramie County. So that's an exciting one. And then from there, we go on to
The bookmobile.
yeah, the bookmobile, equally as exciting, a little bit smaller price tag, but the bookmobile that we currently have is aging out. I'm not certain on the age, but it's got a lot of miles on it, and it's also not as big as the new one we're potentially looking at that'll allow us to provide more opportunities to our rural residents with the bookmobile and get the library to as many people as possible. I was presenting at Primrose Retirement Community just last week, and actually the bookmobile is something that they were the most excited about. The availability of the library to come to people is something that I think a lot of people take for granted, especially given COVID, when we're able to travel to our rural parts of our community and bring a book that could change somebody's life, inspire a young kid. It's an exciting opportunity. And I think that given the price tag, it's well worth the investment.
I serve on the library foundation board, so I can attest to the need. But I wanted to ask you about on the ballot on the LCCC issue. It calls it a manufacturing program build out, and I just don't. I'm not quite sure. Is that a new building? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah. So this is a piece of the puzzle. So it is an allotted amount that the college is going after multiple funding sources. So they're working with community partners like. Just to name a few, Leeds, the Chamber, Magpul, High Vis, Tungsten Parts Wyoming, Alliance Brew Gear, a number of manufacturing facilities, and then some state funding for construction. But this is also for the equipment needed to operate a manufacturing program. They have to learn on machines. And so this is for some of those injection machines, and I'm not going to pretend to know everything that goes into the manufacturing program, but it's costly to get started. But I think that in the end, given the pay level of these jobs, they're highly skilled, and so they're highly well paid. They are averaging about $57,000. $57,280 is the average compensation, and that's projected to grow 14% annually over the next number of years. There's 30 manufacturing companies that Cheyenne Leads has been in contact with about potentially relocating to Southeast Wyoming just in the last number of years. And then $2.79 for every dollar spent in manufacturing, another $2.79 is added to our economy. So again, I mentioned ROI, return on investment, for the sewage project at Archer. This is one that really has potential to pay long-term dividends to our community, even though it's community enhancement, and sometimes we think of that as parks, event centers. We can enhance our community in a number of ways, and I think developing a workforce and an economy is one of those.
Okay, thank you. Mark, can you take the last two, one on the Greenway and one on the Johnson Pool?
Sure, I'd be happy to. The Greenway segment is, if I can find my notes on that, is, again, this is an enhancement. We view it as an enhancement because it's in addition to the 45 miles of Greenway that we already have. And this is to hook up some areas. It's not a long distance, it's several small segments. One is to go from Day Avenue and Ames and along, I think, 15th Street, or the area along, and from the old pump house to kind of connect with Civic, with the plaza, with the depot plaza. Another area that's been a problem for us when we build it is where the Greenway runs under Highway 30. That's routinely flooded. We're going to work with the state to get it moved and get it brought up, raised, so that we don't have issues with flooding there anymore. And the state's going to help us with that, but we need to come up with our share of it. There's also a segment that's going to run from Evans, south of the airport or past the cemetery, to hook up with some of the Greenway from Airport Parkway that's along Maury there. We want to connect Sun Valley to the new East Park, which is 100-acre park that we've purchased with the last 6 penny on the east side of town. And then we can use some of it as matching monies, like where there's an area where there's a new development where the developer is required to put in 6 foot of sidewalk. We may say, hey, we'll partner with you and do you pay your 6 foot share and we'll do the other 40% to make it a 10-foot greenway. So we're looking at using that money for some public-private partnerships. So, but obviously it's more to hook up some areas of the greenway with other areas, and it's several short connectors this time around. So that's the greenway portion of it. Are there any questions on that?
Well, Ross, could I just
Margaret.
wonder, one thing that I want to emphasize that both you've referred to and also Gunnar mentioned in terms of the community college is the amount of additional money that has been raised with grants and matching funds and that sort of thing, that this particular enhancement piece seems to be working with efforts that are already out there trying to raise money to go along with it. It's not just on the shoulders of Laramie County taxpayers. It's just worth noting, it seemed to me.
And then Mark, the last project is the Johnson Pool.
Yes, Johnson Pool is 70 years old, I believe. And we actually closed it down for a portion of the summer last summer. It has issues with the boiler. It has issues with just with the pool leaking, just the facility itself. And it was to the point where it was expensive enough that we weren't going to open it last summer. We did find some monies to at least do some Band-Aid repairs on it so that we could get it open for a couple of months of the summer, which was a good thing since it was a record-setting summer for heat. But again, it's something that really, if it's going to be cost efficient and run well and be a nice facility for our citizens, we need to look at seriously what do we do with it. I mean, and so the purpose of this $250,000 is to figure out, really go dig into it and figure out, okay, what would it cost to upgrade it and make it a really nice facility? Or would it be better if we rebuilt it, and would it be more cost efficient to do it that way? Is where it's currently located, is that the best location? We're hoping to have some public focus groups or town hall meetings to determine if maybe there's a better location for a pool on that area of town or on the south side. So we need some planning money, from some seed money, and otherwise it's never going to get done. And like I said, we were in danger of closing it and keeping it closed last summer. So again, we made if we're going to do something there, we need to at least have the plans so we know what direction we're going.
So this
And
is really planning. Okay.
I mentioned this earlier in one of our discussions, but
Yeah.
the 250,000 is really 1 week on the tax essentially for our share of it. So pretty modest investment to try and figure out, what can we do to improve that amenity for that side of the community.
And do it right. Yeah. Okay, any other questions? Well, thank you, Mark and Gunnar, on behalf of the Cheyenne League of Women Voters, for providing valuable information. And finally, to our Laramie County voters, remember, your vote is your voice. Use it. When is the election? It's Tuesday, November 2nd. When is early voting? It's already started, and it continues through November 1st. You can do it at the atrium. How to vote by absentee ballot? You need to request a ballot from the county clerk, but you better do it quickly because it'll take 7 or 10 days for the ballot to arrive and another 7-10 days for it to be returned by mail. But the absentee ballot can be delivered to the county clerk's office or dropped in the drop box on Cary Avenue. Is an ID required? It is now. Wyoming law now requires an ID before voting in person on election day or during early voting. And here are the accepted IDs. Your vote is your voice. Use it.